Becca, thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to be talking with you today. Can you share with our audience a little bit about yourself, like who you are? Um, how did you get to where you are today?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Daniel. My name is Becca. I am originally from England, but I'm currently living in Canada. So because I grew up in England, the veil there is very, very thin. So ever since childhood, I was always into, let's say, magic and, fairy tales and the unseen things. So that's always been something of a passion of mine and something that was very, very natural for me. So obviously my work ended up being things like healing. I do a lot of healing modalities and things like that. But I'm here today to talk to you about the Akashic Records, which is a thing that I do that helps people in many different ways, but it's on a spiritual side. So we can go into their records and explore any blocks that they have, any issues that they're having, and we can learn how to integrate it and heal it and get it so that they can have a much better physical life and enjoy themselves a lot better. So I've always been that kind of person that was very into those kind of things. So of course that's the way that I was going to form my career.
So, have you been doing this your entire career, or do you change careers to?
I have
To
a mixture of different modalities that I do. So the Akashic Records officially, I haven't actually been doing it for that long. I got qualified in 2019 with the Akashic Records, but yeah, that kind of those kind of things, the healing and the divination kind of stuff, and all the stuff that incorporates the things that I do in the records has been lifelong. Absolutely. Ever since childhood, definitely. I one of those people that always wants to learn. So I was always the kid in the books and buying like crystals and tarot cards and just learning new things all the time. And I'm still like that. I will do that forever. And yeah, so I've always been interested in everything esoteric and magical.
Could you maybe explain to people in the audience, what is the Akashic Records for the people who don't know what that is?
Many people don't know what it is, even people in this kind of field. The simplest way that I always tell people is imagine that you have your very own library and it's sort of in another realm. And you can go there. Everyone at this current time period actually has access to their own Akashic records, whereas previous sort of lifetimes and time frames, they weren't actually available to everybody. But right now, everybody can access their very own records. And so the idea is that you go up to your library and your librarians, who are your guides, will help you with any questions that you have. And that could be a career thing, it could be a relationships thing, it could be health. It could just be that you want to ask a particular question about which route to take, which path to take in your life. Or it could be you're interested in seeing a past life or dealing with a trauma from this life that's hindering you. And you can go in and you can experience these things and you can talk with your guides and they will tell you what the lesson was. They'd help you understand it. And then they help you break any soul contracts or soul vows. They can help you with healing. They can help you just deal with this whole thing. And then that actually integrates down into your physical self. And you find that those blocks are no longer an issue after, some people it's immediate. Some people it takes a few days. Definitely within a few weeks, people definitely see a huge change in whatever their situation was.
Now, what inspired you to want to learn and be like Akashic Records facilitator? What inspired you to go that route?
Well, it was obviously always something that I was aware of because of all the things that I was into. I just didn't really, for some reason, didn't really want to get into it. I think probably because I had other things I wanted to do first. And I already did things like tarot reading and stuff, and a lot of Akashic Records practitioners will do it like a psychic medium or like a tarot reader, where they say, okay, Daniel, I'm in your records. This is what's going on. This is what your guides are telling me, blah, 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 blah. And you say, thank you very much. And you sit back and you don't really do anything about it necessarily. So I didn't really want to add anything like that to my stuff at that time. And then I found this teacher that the way that he does it and the way that he teaches is that I take you to your records. So I'm literally just holding your hand energetically and I'm there to coach you. I help you see, I help you understand. So even if I know the answers, I'm not there to just parrot them at you. I'm there to sort of say, and what do you think that means? And what do you see over here? And why do you think that's happening? And if you don't get it, I help you and I tell you what the guides are telling me behind the scenes as well. But at the end of the day, I want you to say, oh my gosh, this is the problem. This is why. I understand it. I see it for myself. I know what's going on and why I had to experience it. I understand how I need to stop it or break it or how I need to get over it. I get it. And that's what I want from my clients to actually be able to do. And then because you've done that, you're then going into your physical life and you're actually implementing the things that you've learned because you come to that realization yourself. And this is what you have to do. And that's why it's so much better that people go into their own records, whether that's through someone like me or you learn to do it for yourself. If you go in by yourself to your records and you discover it and see for yourself, it's a lot more powerful than if someone's just saying, this is what I see and this is what you need to do. And you're kind of withdrawn from that. You're not really a part of it so much. You're not experiencing it. And that I notice is a huge difference between like my Akashic Records clients and my, say, tarot reading clients. Like the tarot ones won't necessarily do the things that they're told to do or the things that they need to do. Whereas the Akashic Records people instantly, they come out of the records and they're like, right, I'm on it. Let's go do this. And they have better results.
Wow, that's really interesting. So I was curious to know, like you mentioned earlier, like, you moved to Canada. What inspired you to move to Canada?
So I was on my way to Australia. I always wanted to go and live in Australia ever since I was tiny. And I was with a boyfriend at the time in England. And he said, well, I want to live in Canada. And so I said, well, let's do a year in Canada and a year in Australia and pick one. And by the time I got all my stuff ready for Canada, he said, oh, I was only joking. And I said, well, I wasn't. So I came to Canada. And then I got given a second year, and this was in 2012. And I got given a second year, and then I ended up just staying. And obviously, I'm not with the English boyfriend anymore. That kind of ended quite soon after I moved to Canada. But I never got to Australia, and so it wasn't really anything spiritual or anything that I consciously realized was like a divine intervention or anything. It just I just love travel and I just wanted to go on an adventure and I wanted to go to Australia and ended up in Canada and I haven't left Canada since 2012. So that's how I got here.
Wow, that's really interesting story. So,
Not what you're expecting, right?
yeah, I thought you were gonna maybe say something like, you like the nature there or the cold weather or something.
Well, that's the thing. So I lived in Switzerland a few years before, and it obviously snows there, and it snows in Canada, and I hated the snow, so I didn't want to come to Canada anyway because of the snow. That was the one thing that I was like, I don't want to go to live in Canada because I don't like the snow. And and now 13 winters later, you're still here.
Right. So you also mentioned like, you kind of combine a lot of different these holistic modalities like the Akashic Records, Reiki, you work with crystals, right? And I think you also do like aromatherapy. Like,
Yeah.
how do you know like one of these like tools or modalities or do you like use when you're working with your clients?
Well, obviously, some of them they have to be in person. So if people come to me in person, then obviously I can do more with them because I do different massage techniques as well, and things like ear candling and things that are all things that you need to have physically. But things like Akashic Records can be done online. The tarot reading, the crystal healing, the Reiki can be sent all online. So it depends, obviously, if they're with me in person or not, as to whether I do certain modalities. Obviously, if someone's online and I think that they would really do well with aromatherapy, for example, I can tell them, well, have you tried this oil? And I can tell them how to use it. And they can obviously go out and they can buy their own oil if they so wish. But to actually do it in person is obviously better for me because I have everything here and people don't have to spend that extra bit of money as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, the Reiki normally, I don't know if you know very much about Reiki, but the Reiki, you don't really always get a choice whether you use it either. It just kind of turns on as and when it's needed. So, I mean, I could be on the train or something and it just kind of turns on and I don't know why and who needs it on that train, but it will just happen. And I just say, okay, so someone on the train needs some healing or needs some emotional support or whatever it is right now, right? So the Reiki, you don't really get much of a choice. And so I find that the Reiki just kind of comes in for most clients, if not all of them, naturally anyway. I don't switch it on. I don't tell the client that they're getting that and they don't necessarily like know that they're getting that extra thing, and they don't need to pay for it. Obviously, if it just turns on, it's not like an added thing where I say, "Well, the Reiki switched on, so you have to pay me extra now." you know. So yeah, so it's. But I tend to, whether it's in person or virtually, I will usually mix and match a load of different things anyway. It's very intuitive the way that I work. So if someone was to come for just a normal massage kind of thing, and I think, well, I'm going to include my hot stones and some aromatherapy oils and Reiki and talk to them afterwards about, mindset or, herbs that they could put in their food or tinctures or something, that I'm going to just intuitively talk to them and see, because it's not really like one thing fixes all, right? It's a holistic approach to everything. Everything is connected and everything needs more than that, just one thing. You need to find the root cause and you need to address physical and emotional and mental and spiritual a lot of the time for everything.
And how long did it take you to really become like an expert in working with the Akashic Records?
Well, without sounding too big headed, it came really naturally, the Akashic Records, really, really surprisingly naturally to me. So, I got qualified in 2019. So, I think that probably took me, I think it was 6 months for the first bit of the qualification. And then the second one was just under a year, I think. So I got 2 qualifications in that. So if you want to go qualification wise, it took maybe a year and a half to get that. But immediately when I started, like lesson one, I was a bit, "Ugh." But the first like couple of weeks, it just came so naturally and so intuitively to me. And the thing with the Akashic Records, especially when I'm doing it with clients, is it's not really me. I'm going into your records. I'm working with your guides. And so it's you and your guides that are doing the work. I'm just there as like a translator or it's just a little bit of extra help. Um, but at the end of the day, it's the client or it's their guides that are actually doing everything. And I sometimes just sit back and just let them all go for it. And other times I'm more hands-on and I'm more involved in it because the client's not really understanding or they're struggling a little bit more and they needed that little extra help from me. And that's the only reason I'm there really, is just in case I'm needed, if in case like I just need to give some advice or some translation. But really the point is that you do it yourself, that you understand it for yourself. And if I can get my clients to that point where they can just go away and do it without me, then that's my job done. Absolutely. And they can go in whenever they want and they can find the answers for themselves. And it's a lot better for them to do that than to have to wait until I'm available or until someone else can help them. If they can just literally just, okay, well, I have this question and I'm in there and I'm asking and I've got my answer. That's exactly how it should be working, because like I said, it's everyone's Akashic records are available to them right now. It's just you're not told that they're there and you're not told that they're available or how to do it. But if everybody learned how to do it, then everyone would have just this ease of access so easily and be able to just do it. So I think that's probably why it came so naturally to me when I was learning, because we're in this time where they're so openly available.
Now, I want to ask you like a question about that. Like some people think like, they want to solve all their issues on their own. I mean, why would they consider like, going to see like a holistic coach like yourself that, can this versus them, just trying to like consciously, like some people say they just journal or, talk to their friend or their neighbor and say, figure
Yeah.
things out. Like, what are the benefits of going to like a holistic coach, like some like Akashic Records experts such as yourself, versus them trying to do it on their own when
Yeah.
they don't know Akashic Records?
Yeah. So I describe it like it's like when you do meditation. So some people, they like to just do it by themselves with their like candles and their incense and whatever, and just by themselves, right? Other people, they like to join a group or do like listen to audio stuff like on YouTube or something. They'll listen to a guided meditation, right? And then other people, they want to actually go physically to somebody and like a meditation teacher, whether that's one-on-one or in a group, and do it with somebody that's guiding them, and they can interact with. So it's exactly the same with the Akashic records. So like I said, a lot of my regular clients, they can all do it for themselves, but now and then they come back because they need, like they're asking a very important question and their mind just says, oh, well, what if I'm making it up? And they have that self-doubt and they just want that extra validation from somebody. So they'll maybe ask me to go in with them, even though they've got it right because they've listened to their own intuition. They've done it so many times. So sometimes it's just to have someone sort of, so they can say to me, well, what do you see here? And I tell them and they say, okay, good, because that's what I see too. And I just need to know that I'm not making it up and that it's a validation thing. So, yeah, so it's very much personal choice. And it's that whole thing of like, when you have a problem, do you go to your friend or do you go to a therapist, right? Like, do you go to just a friend that you can just sit down, have a cup of tea with and chat with? Or do you need to go to a professional where it's very clinical, but it's like they know what they're talking about and they can help you, and they're very detached from your situation? It's always, with everything, it always has to be a personal kind of thing. And sometimes that will be what the question is. So some people, they'll be able to go into their own records by themselves and ask a question because it's not a big deal or it's not, or it's more personal or something like that. But then they'll go to somebody like me because it's a bigger question and they don't want to be wrong, or um, they don't want to put their own thoughts into it, like their own wants. So, which is funny because people will go in and they'll ask a question, they'll expect an answer, and then they get there and the answer's something completely different or not what they wanted. And they say, well, now I know it's not my imagination, that I'm not making it up, because that's not the answer that I wanted, right? It's a different answer. So, yeah, it really, with everything, it's always a personal preference, always.
So how do you create like a safe space when you're working with the clients? Because some people who may not be familiar with the Akashic Records, and they may feel like, a little bit leery seeing like a holistic coach for the first time. How
Yeah.
do you create like a supportive and safe space for your clients?
So they can have a conversation with me beforehand, a back and forth for like 30 minutes or whatever they need first. But either way, I'll always do the first couple of minutes, if not 15 minutes, just explaining what the Akashic Records are and how it's not hypnosis and it's not meditation. It's kind of this in between thing, but it's also not that at all either. So what I mean by that is that we go very, very deep into the record. So you are in a trance, but if your kid calls you or there's a knock at the door or something happens in your records and it's very emotional and you need to get up and go and get a tissue or you need to use the bathroom, you can literally open your eyes, get up, go do that, come back. You're still in the records, but you're able to walk around and do all the things physically. And then you just sit down. Okay, take a breath, close your eyes. We're instantly back there. We're carrying on the session. And so people worry, obviously, especially when we're doing online, well, if it's hypnosis, which it isn't, and the internet goes down or, I'm just kind of stuck here, how am I going to get out of the trance? Well, if the internet went down, you just open your eyes, you carry on with your day, and I close the records from my end and we continue when the internet's back or something. So a lot of people, they worry on that side that it is some hypnotic trance or that they have no free will in it. But if at any point they want to stop, they absolutely can stop. Lots of people, they'll be in there, they'll be doing it, and then they'll open their eyes, they'll chat back and forth like we're doing now. But they're still in there and they're still even getting messages through. And then they can close their eyes and they can carry on with it. So it's very interesting. It's very hard to explain to people when they've not actually done it. So it sounds a little bit complicated and a little bit odd. But whenever someone's done it, they're like, that was really good. Like, I really enjoyed that, whether they're into spiritual things or not. I haven't yet found someone that's like, oh, that wasn't really for me. Everyone gets something out of it because it's your records. Like, you can't not enjoy it because it's your home, right? It's your own space. Like, I'm just trespassing in your space. I'm in your house, right? It's not mine. So people that go into their records, they feel immediate ease and immediate like peace and safety there because it's theirs and the guides are purely theirs. They're not guides that look after them and 50 other souls. It's just for them. So once we're in, they immediately just feel safe and secure and comfortable. Always. I've never had anyone that says, I don't feel safe. And if you do it by yourself and you do feel unsafe, then just come out, shut the record and try again because you're probably not there.
Really interesting. Do you still offer tarot and oracle card readings, or you just do Akashic readings?
I do still offer the tarot and the oracle. Akashic is more my regular thing, I would say now, because like I said, I personally find that my clients get more out of the Akashic Records. It's more versatile and people tend to literally change their life for the better because they've experienced it, because it's more like that coaching and um, experience worth modality. Whereas with tarot, a lot of people just come because it's a bit of fun or, something to do. And lots of people, they don't really implement that later on. So I do still do the tarot and the oracle and I do love it. And I do obviously still do them for myself and for friends and everybody. But I really just try and get people to do their Akashic Records more, especially if they have a bigger problem or a bigger, they want to dive into more of the why or the core of it or understand their soul a bit better. Whereas the tarot just kind of says, oh, yeah, it's this. And people say, okay, thank you very much. And unfortunately don't really take on board what's been told.
I mean, your mission emphasizes, like, like you keep talking about empowering people to find answers or solutions to what they're looking for. I mean,
Yeah.
what strategy do you use to help like empower people?
With the Akashic Records, it would be very much giving them the reign, which is what I do, right? Like, so at the beginning, we do like a meditation-y type visualization thing. We don't have to do it as long. If you become like a regular client, we do it less and less and less time as it goes on, because it's the point of it is to get you to visualize, to see, to smell, to hear and understand and to know. So it's all about getting you to that zone. And the more you practice it, the more I'm happy with that you're actually understanding and comprehending everything that's going on. I can literally just then pull you into there and then we just get on with it straight away. So it's all about getting you to learn to do it in such a way that you can just do it for yourself. And that's what the empowerment's all about, because you're actually then um, taking your own life into your own hands. You're doing your decisions, and they're informed decisions. They're not just because your tarot reader has told you, you got this card today and it's telling you to go and do that. You're actually going in and you're asking the questions. You're seeing the past life, or you're seeing the thing that created the trauma, or you're seeing and talking to an optimal future self and discovering how you got to that point and how you can start implementing today to get to that wonderful end result, right? This is all to get you excited and to understand your soul mission and your soul purpose, and that you are a lot more powerful than you realize. A lot of people think, well, I'm, just an ant, an insignificant thing on a planet somewhere. And you're not. You're this eternal soul that has all this power in them. And when people can understand all of that kind of side of it, and how incredibly powerful their mind can be, how very powerful their emotions can be, and how that can get them to where they want to be. And the path ahead is not just one single path. It's all of these different things for you to choose. And there isn't a right or wrong one. It's just, do you want the harder route and learn the lesson the harder way? Or do you want the slightly easier one where you can get to your end result a little bit faster? But you have to take control of your own life and your own destiny and stuff, so that you're not powerless. You are never powerless in anything. You may feel it, but you are never powerless. You're always got the power to change that. You've always got the power to create your own reality.
Can you maybe share some examples of how like you worked with your clients and you did your Akashic record readings? Like, I'm just curious to know, like, how did it happen? Like, what, like, can you share some stories to maybe
Yeah.
like inspire us to like learn a little bit more about this?
Any particular topic that you would like with that, or just a random one that pops into my head?
Yeah, whatever comes to you. I mean, I don't know about all your client stories, so maybe something that's interesting that people can find. Like, oh wow, like it really made like a difference in the client's life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest one for me, the one that I'm super proud of, was this lady. She was in her mid-50s and she'd never liked herself. She was unmarried. She had no children. She didn't have a good career. Lots of problems with her parents and her siblings and all of this stuff. And she never felt she belonged. She always thought she was a loser. She thought of her body as the separate entity. She literally named her body another name, and she would just refer to her body as this other person. And this other person was fat and ugly and good for nothing. And she just hated herself completely and utterly. And so when she first came to me, she was very quiet. She was very insecure, like extremely insecure. And yeah, I wasn't sure I was ever going to be able to help her because she was so like, because it was like 55 years of feeling this way, right? And she just, she was not in a good way. So we did the records and she was a repeat over, I think it was 2 years actually. Every 6 to 8 weeks we would meet up, and she discovered through doing the Akashic Records a load of different things, but mainly the reason that I'm telling this story is because she realized that this was her first incarnation on Earth, and so in this realm, in this 3D density. So different realms have different densities, and this one's like a lower one. This one's a hard school, right? Where we are now, this is the hard school, and lots of souls that it's their first time, they don't realize how hard it is, right? And she was one of those. And anyway, so very long story short, that's why she was struggling in this life, because she had asked for so many different soul like contracts and missions and things like that to do in her life, and it was just too much for her. She just couldn't do it. And she now has a lot more affection for her body. She still refers to her body as another person, but she suddenly had this realization that it wasn't her body's fault. Like, she is this eternal soul, and the body is in this 3D density, and it's not her body's fault at all that any of this stuff is happening to her, that she is not having anything going well for her. So my client literally decided to take her on like a child, like do inner child work, but with her body. And she now cares for her body as if it's her child. And she loves her body, and she tells her body that it is good and it is good enough. And doesn't need to be perfect to get on with life. And she got a good job. She actually distanced herself from her sibling that was quite toxic to her. She's got a better relationship with her parents. She's found a load of friends, because she never really had friends either. And she's got a load of friends now that they meet up all the time. And just this transformation from being this mousy like person that thought that they were just good for nothing, that they would be better off dead than living, because what do they have going for them? Now just living a great life, really enjoying life. And it's not like the perfect life. She's not like a millionaire and having a great, wonderful like experience. And it's not this huge, huge transformation on the outlook of it. But she is so much happier. She is so much more positive. Like, she was never positive. And she loves her body now. She understands her soul. She understands why she chose to be here and what she's here to do. And she doesn't think that the world would be better without her anymore, because she understands her place in it. And this client is actually my pride and joy. This is my one that I am the most proud of. And like I said, it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. It's not this huge, amazing transformation in like monetary or like a, great love or, like spiritual awakening type thing. It's quite a simple thing, but it's had this profound effect on her entire life. And it was just beautiful to be part of her experience, to be part of that, to witness that progression over those 2 years. It was incredible.
Well, that was a really amazing story. Thank you for sharing that. That is quite incredible.
Yes.
I mean, it's like, do clients often have like profound shifts when they're working with the Akashic Records, or does it like really vary a lot between clients?
It varies between clients. I would say there is always a profound shift, even if it's just a realization of something. Like, they believe that all their problems is because of this one thing that happened to them, when they were 5, when actually it was this really insignificant thing that happened when they were 3, where like a stranger just happened to offhandedly say something to them, and that just got ingrained in their head, and that was the problem. And we get to that, we sort that out, and they say, wow, I really would never have thought it was that. So they never probably would have consciously got to that root of that problem because they thought it was the thing when they were 5, the big, huge event, which obviously does have some effect, and we sort that out too. But the root of the problem was actually a few years before, with something insignificant that they didn't even remember until we went into the records. And so it's always this profound shift for people. Even if we go in with just a mundane question, something will happen, and maybe it's the healing that happens, and people say, wow, like that just felt incredible, or I really felt that in my heart, or I felt that in my head, or they just ask a question and they, like I said, they think they know the answer, and the answer that comes up for them, it's not even me telling them, they get the answer to them, and they say, well, that's not the answer that I thought at all. I would never have imagined that in a million years. And that's then, oh, wow, now everything changed when I realized that this was the answer or this was the problem. And because you come to that realization, you can then implement that and you can change that, or it's literally changed in the records. Like the contract is made null and void, or you help heal the younger you in this life. You go to a past life and you help heal your past life self of some trauma. And the knock-on effect is that you suddenly feel lighter and you feel like more open or more empowered, or you just feel a shift in yourself. You feel this difference. It's like your eyes are new and you're seeing everything around you differently. Colors look different, and the way that people talk to you or look at you seems different now, right? And because you've changed, you've had this shift. So yeah, I would say that everybody has a profound shift. It just doesn't necessarily look or seem that amazing to some people, but yet it has been profound for that person. Or there are these incredible, incredible shifts where their entire life just changes for the good, and they end up saying like, wow, like it all went to that one time that I went to the records and I realized this about myself or about my life, and that's the one thing I needed just to change everything for the better.
Wow, that sounds really amazing. Oh, I mean, looking ahead, like, what are your goals for like in your Ember Healing business? Like, how do you envision your practice evolving in the next, coming years?
Well, I've just started doing podcasts, so I would love to just keep doing stuff like that, because I'm finding that it's not many people do know about the Akashic Records, and I think it's such a valuable tool, especially for now, to help people be able to understand themselves better. So I'd love to do more sort of like spreading the word and telling people all about it and how it can help them. Um, and yeah, I just want to learn everything all the time. And I think that's why I love the record so much, because if I was just doing for myself, I would just be learning for myself. But because I'm in everyone else's records, I'm learning these things that I would never have learned for myself, because it's for their own soul contracts and journeys forward. So I'm learning so much just from them, and I'll probably add more modalities, honestly, to Ember Healing. I'm actually doing astrology now. I'm learning astrology. Like, I've been dabbling for a while, but I'm doing a course now in that. So that's coming now. And like I said, I incorporate everything all together. So it won't just be astrology. It'll be astrology with, Akashic Records or Reiki and tarot reading and all of that stuff. So I just want to grow the business, but not in that usual way that you grow a business. It's just like to make people more aware of their own power. That's honestly what I really want for people. I want people to understand just how powerful that they are and how much they have access to themselves, to their own soul. They don't necessarily need anybody else, or they just need somebody just to sort of show them the direction and then sort of say, run ahead, child, and go explore. And then they can literally go and see just how much they can change their reality. Like that's all I honestly want is just to hear stories as well. I'd love for people to tell me, like, come back in years' time and just say, like, I loved having that session or that chat with you because this then happened. And I just love hearing the feedback stories of how that's helped them and what that little tiny tweak has done on such a big impact for them.
Can I ask you, I mean, so now that you've been doing the Akashic Records for many years, how has it really changed, impacted your own life? Can you maybe like share with us a little bit about that? Like, how's it like, before you were doing the Akashic Records, now you're doing the Akashic Records. I mean, how's it really impacted your whole life?
Yeah. Or before I just had things like the tarot cards and stuff and my own intuition and stuff. But with the Akashic Records, it's heightened my intuition a lot more. And it's sort of having that knowledge of having this sort of support group, like the spiritual support group that I can access a lot easier and a lot quicker whenever I need them, because that's always there and then nothing's too mundane for them. You can always just go in and ask. And when like I said, like when I've been doing clients before the records, it was more sort of hands-on stuff, or it was like the tarot cards and things like that. And so with the Akashic Records, it's opened up this whole new sort of world, literally, for me, and a whole new way of learning and understanding. I think when we see and we hear and we get that kind of more all-round way of discovering something, rather than just like, okay, now you're having a massage, or now I'm sending you Reiki, or now we're going to put the crystals on you. When you've got this whole sort of like sort of spiritual realm where you can literally just open doors to different places and explore different things, it helps people understand things in a lot more it kind of puts more puzzle pieces there for you, so you can understand the root causes, but also the reasons why. And from there, you can then go to healing and all these other things. So for me, it's just open my eyes to things and realities that I've never would have experienced normally. And that's through my own personal Akashic records, as well as visiting and going with my clients into theirs. It's truly fascinating. And because I've got that need for knowledge and that drawing towards wisdom, I just want to collect it all. It's been such an immense help in piecing everything together and understanding things a lot clearer than I would necessarily if I hadn't discovered the Akashic Records, if I hadn't learned how to access them.
I mean, it's truly amazing everything you're saying. I mean, you definitely piqued my interest to, want to like learn more about the Akashic Records. It sounds really interesting. I mean, our podcast is getting close to an end now. Are there any other things that you like to share with the audience? Like, do you like them to know?
Just like to say again that they are incredibly powerful. And if it is something that they do want to investigate, like there are so many books, there's like YouTube stuff, there's people like me as well that can just kind of put them on the right direction to access their own records. And I really, really encourage people to at least just try and access them and try and just like explore a little bit, because like the more you practice something, the more you're going to get out of it, obviously. And then once you actually have this access to your records, you're going to be able to explore yourself so much more. You're going to be able to understand the things that are happening, good and bad, in your life a lot better. And you're going to be able to deal with it a lot better, right? You're going to have that support system there. So when you feel alone, you'll know that you're not alone. You know that you have the support there. and you know that you've got the guidance as well. It's not just like someone there just like cheering you on and holding your hand, which they do as well, but they can actually give you advice. And you don't have to follow that advice, obviously, but you have that advice there. And you know, you can try and find the right path ahead for you, like the one that's actually going to get you to where you want to go and you know what you want to achieve. And so honestly, like if you can explore something like the Akashic Records where you delve deep into your soul, you're actually going to have a much better time of this life and you know all your future lives, and you can literally discover your own power and shape your reality, as I've said before. Like just you know shape it to what you want it to be, and just see how not easy, but it is easy. Like but you just have to put the work in.
Great, wonderful. So, if somebody had a question about like anything that you discussed today, like the Akashic Records, or they're interested in maybe having like a free consultation or session with you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, I'm on social media. So I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. So Facebook is at Ember Healing, and then Instagram is Holistic Becca. On those as well, it does have like my link tree and stuff on there. So you can look and see like my website from there. You can see any upcoming events and things, or you can actually book a free consultation with me and just have a chat, see, you know, what you could kind of get with me, or I can just give you some advice of how you can find your next steps forward, like what I think would benefit you. And then you can go off and go on to your own adventure through that. And yeah, just and I just love to talk, as you probably guessed, about all of these things. So if someone just wants to contact me and just have a chat about anything that I do, I absolutely adore talking to people about it. So please do reach out and have a chat with me, just see where it goes. And there's never any pressure to work with me. I just, you know, just tell me your stories. Just tell me your adventures. And that's what I want to hear.
Well, Becca, again, thank you so much for coming on the podcast show. I really appreciate it. It was really wonderful to listen to you, and I've definitely learned a lot of new things myself, and I'm sure a lot of people in the audience did as well. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, knowledge, and experience with us. It was a true pleasure.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Daniel.